The morning light spilled into our bedroom, casting a warm glow over the familiar chaos of clothes and toys. I blinked awake, rubbing the sleep from my eyes as I glanced at Evelyn, her face serene and peaceful in sleep. It was a comforting sight, one I had cherished for over a decade. Yet, in the back of my mind, a nagging feeling whispered that things weren't quite right. Evelyn stirred, the sheets slipping down her shoulders, revealing the delicate curve of her neck. I found myself momentarily entranced, recalling how she once used to tease me about my tendency to lose myself in thought when I should be present. But these days I couldn't help but wonder if she was thinking about something, or someone, else. We were both busy with our lives. I managed a team of developers at a tech startup, pouring my heart and soul into every project. Meanwhile, Evelyn thrived in her role as a marketing executive, often working late or attending social functions for her job. Her world had become a flurry of meetings, business dinners, and after-work drinks, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. As I slid out of bed, the smell of coffee beckoned me from the kitchen. I could hear Lily, our 10-year-old daughter, already buzzing with energy, her laughter ringing out as she played with her toys. The sound of her joy was infectious, pulling me out of my spiraling thoughts. "Morning, Dad!" she chirped as I entered the kitchen. She sat at the table, already dressed for school, her hair pulled into two messy ponytails. "Morning, kiddo," I replied, ruffling her hair. Evelyn appeared a moment later, tying her hair back into a neat bun. She wore a fitted blouse that accentuated her curves, a stark contrast to my worn jeans and t-shirt. I caught a glimpse of the way her lips curled into a smile when she looked at Lily, and it tugged at my heart. I loved her, but the unshakable feeling of unease lurked beneath the surface, taunting me. As we shared breakfast, I noticed the tension in the air, a subtle shift that felt like a tightly pulled bowstring ready to snap. Evelyn's phone buzzed on the counter, and she quickly grabbed it, a flash of something in her eyes that I couldn't quite decipher. "Just work," she said, waving her hand dismissively, but the flush in her cheeks betrayed her. I tried to focus on our conversations about Lily's upcoming soccer game, but my thoughts drifted back to that nagging feeling. Was it paranoia, or had I noticed the lingering glances she shared with Tom, her boss? I had seen them at a few company events, sharing laughs that seemed too intimate. Later that day, while sitting at my desk, I replayed the moments in my mind, the laughter, the closeness. Each time I thought of Tom's easy smile and the way he leaned into conversations with Evelyn, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. It was as if I was standing on the edge of a precipice, peering down into a chasm of uncertainty. That evening, after Lily was tucked in, I found myself in the living room, the soft glow of the lamp casting long shadows. Evelyn entered, her demeanor a mix of excitement and nerves. "I have to go out tonight," she said, slipping into a fitted black dress that clung to her like a second skin. "Another work event?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yes," she replied, her tone a touch too light, as if trying to mask something. "Have fun," I managed, though a sense of foreboding washed over me. I watched her apply a hint of lipstick, her movements deliberate and practiced, a wave of desire mixed with dread coursing through me. "Peter, you okay?" she asked, her eyes narrowing in concern. "Just tired, I guess," I said, forcing a smile. As she leaned in to kiss me goodbye, I caught a whiff of her perfume, something floral and sweet, and for a moment, it felt like old times. But as the door clicked shut behind her, the house fell silent, and the weight of my suspicions settled heavily on my chest. That night, as I lay in bed alone, I couldn't shake the feeling that our lives were spiraling in different directions. A whisper of doubt echoed in my mind, the thought that the woman I loved might be lost to me, drawn into a world of temptation I could never understand. I closed my eyes, desperate for sleep to drown out the uncertainty, but the images of her and Tom, laughing, their chemistry crackling like electricity, haunted me. In the dark, I made a decision. I had to find out the truth, no matter where it led me. The next day dragged on, a relentless cycle of meetings and code reviews. I tried to focus, but the weight of my suspicions gnawed at me, relentless and heavy. Each time my phone buzzed, my heart raced, half expecting it to be Evelyn with some innocent excuse for her late nights. I needed to know what was happening, to pull back the curtain on this growing darkness between us. That evening, as I sat on the couch nursing a beer, I decided to dig deeper. I rifled through my drawer, pulling out my old laptop. I'd always been somewhat of a tech wizard, and I figured it wouldn't be too hard to track down some information. As I typed, my mind wandered back to the last company party, the way Tom had stood too close to Evelyn, his hand brushing against her lower back as he leaned in to whisper something in her ear. The sight had sent a wave of jealousy coursing through me, a feeling so primal it almost made me sick. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog. I opened social media accounts and dug into mutual friends' posts, searching for anything that might hint at an affair. My pulse quickened as I stumbled upon a series of photos from a recent work event. There they were, Evelyn and Tom, smiling, glasses of wine in hand, the intimate glow of the bar lighting highlighting their faces. She looked radiant, laughter dancing in her eyes, while Tom leaned in too close, a confident smile on his lips. I slammed the laptop shut, frustration boiling over. How could she be so carefree, so seemingly untouched by the possibility of betrayal? I remembered the playful touches and lingering glances they exchanged, and a rage I hadn't felt in years bubbled to the surface. I needed to confront her, but how? Later that night, as I prepared dinner, the tension in the air was palpable. Lily was at her friend's house, leaving Evelyn and me alone. I focused on chopping vegetables, forcing myself to breathe evenly, but my mind was racing. When she walked in, her face lit up at the sight of the meal I had prepared. "Wow, look at you! Cooking a feast," she teased, slipping off her coat. "Just something to hold us over," I replied, trying to keep my tone light despite the storm brewing inside me. We sat at the table, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words. As we ate, I watched her, the way she savored each bite, her lips glistening with sauce, the way she smiled and chatted about her day. But my mind was elsewhere, drowning in suspicion and desire. "You look beautiful tonight," I said, the compliment tumbling out almost involuntarily. "Thanks, honey," she replied, her cheeks flushing slightly. I could see the faint lines of her day melting away, replaced by the warmth of our shared space. After dinner, as we cleared the table, I felt the pull of something electric in the air. I reached out, brushing my fingers against hers as we moved the dishes. It was a fleeting touch, but it ignited something deep within me, a longing that had been buried beneath the layers of doubt. "Evelyn," I started, my voice low, but the words caught in my throat. I wanted to ask her about Tom, about the late nights and the laughter that felt too intimate. Instead, I leaned in, capturing her gaze. "Do you remember when we used to dance in the kitchen, just like this?" A smile broke across her face, and in that moment, I was reminded of the passion that once defined our relationship. I took a step closer, wrapping my arms around her waist, pulling her against me. "Peter," she began, a hint of hesitation in her voice, but I silenced her with a kiss, pressing my lips against hers with a fervor I hadn't felt in a long time. The kiss deepened, and I could feel her melting into me, her body responding as it always had. But even as the heat of our passion enveloped us, the doubts loomed large. I could taste the sweetness of her mouth, feel the warmth of her body against mine, yet the image of Tom's smug smile invaded my thoughts. I pulled back, the reality crashing down around me like a wave. "Is everything okay?" she asked, concern flickering in her eyes. I hesitated, my heart pounding. I've been feeling distant lately. With everything going on, it's like there's a wall between us." Evelyn's expression softened. "I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Work has been hectic, but I promise it's just that." "Just that," I repeated, trying to latch onto her words. But in my heart, I felt the flicker of doubt reignite. "Let's take a break this weekend. Just you and me," she suggested, her voice laced with genuine warmth. "We can go hiking or just relax. I miss us." I forced a smile, but the weight of her suggestion felt both comforting and foreboding. "That sounds nice," I said, though I couldn't shake the feeling that it might just be a temporary balm for a deeper wound. As we stood together, wrapped in each other's arms, I realized that I was at a crossroads. I could choose to trust her, to believe that our love could weather this storm, or I could follow the dark path of suspicion that loomed ahead. But for now, as she kissed me again, I chose to live in this moment, to feel the heat of her body against mine, to forget the shadows of doubt for just a little longer. The weekend arrived, bringing with it a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could reconnect in a way that would heal the cracks that had begun to form. Evelyn and I packed a small cooler with sandwiches and drinks, deciding to head to our favorite hiking spot. The air was crisp, the trees vibrant with the changing colors of autumn, and I felt a flicker of excitement. As we drove, Evelyn's laughter filled the car, the sound easing some of the tension that had been building between us. I couldn't help but steal glances at her as she chatted animatedly, the sun catching her hair and illuminating her features. She looked beautiful, and a rush of desire surged through me, pushing aside the shadows that had lingered. Upon arriving, we set off on the trail, hand in hand, the world around us fading as we walked. The rhythm of our footsteps matched the steady thump of my heart, each beat a reminder of how much I missed this closeness. We ventured deeper into the woods, where the trees stood tall, their leaves whispering secrets in the wind. Eventually, we found a secluded spot by a small stream, the gentle sound of the water creating a peaceful backdrop. We spread out our blanket, sitting side by side as we shared our lunch. As Evelyn took a bite of her sandwich, she playfully smeared mustard on her nose, laughing when I pointed it out. I couldn't help but chuckle, feeling the warmth of her happiness wash over me. After we finished eating, Evelyn leaned back on the blanket, stretching out like a cat, her skin glowing in the soft sunlight. I watched her, the way the light danced across her curves, stirring something primal inside me. "Join me," she beckoned, her voice low and teasing, a spark of mischief in her eyes. I hesitated for a moment, the remnants of doubt still whispering in my mind, but the sight of her, so relaxed and inviting, pulled me in. I lay down beside her, propping myself up on one elbow, my heart racing at the proximity. "Do you remember the last time we did this?" she asked, her voice softening as she gazed at me. "Yeah," I replied, memories flooding back of lazy afternoons spent tangled together under the sun, our laughter mingling with the rustling leaves. "It feels like ages ago." Evelyn smiled, her eyes sparkling with warmth and something deeper. "Let's make some new memories then," she said, and with that she leaned in closer, her breath warm against my skin. As our lips met, the world around us faded into a blur. The kiss was soft at first, but it quickly ignited a familiar fire between us. I could feel her body pressing against mine, the heat radiating from her as our hands began to explore, fingers tracing along arms and shoulders, rekindling the intimacy we had almost lost. Evelyn's hand tangled in my hair, pulling me closer as the kiss deepened. It was passionate and electric, the kind of kiss that made everything else fall away. I could feel her heart beating beneath my palm as I caressed her waist, feeling the warmth of her skin through the thin fabric of her shirt. Suddenly, I was swept away by the moment. The doubts and fears were replaced by an overwhelming need for her. I rolled onto my back, bringing her with me, the blanket cradling us as I pulled her on top of me. The sunlight filtered through the branches overhead, casting dappled patterns across her face, making her look ethereal. "Peter," she breathed, her voice a mix of desire and surprise. I held her gaze, feeling the weight of unspoken words hanging between us. "I want you, Evelyn. I need to feel you close," I murmured, my voice husky with longing. She smiled, a sultry glint in her eyes, and leaned down to whisper in my ear. "Then take me." With a surge of need, I flipped us again, pinning her beneath me. The thrill of it sent a rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins. I leaned down, capturing her lips with mine once more, kissing her deeply, tasting the urgency that had built up inside both of us. As our bodies pressed together, the world around us faded even further away. The weight of our lives, the creeping doubts, and the specter of Tom vanished under the heat of our passion. My hands roamed over her body, exploring the curves and valleys I had missed so much. I felt her arch against me, her body responding to my touch with a warmth that ignited the desire burning within me. "Right here, right now," I whispered against her mouth, my breath mingling with hers as I lost myself in her, in the moment, in the heat of our shared intimacy. Evelyn's laughter, soft and teasing, echoed in the stillness, and I was reminded of the woman I had fallen in love with. The woman who could still make my heart race and my body ache with just a look. We were together, wrapped in each other's arms, rekindling a fire that I thought had begun to extinguish. In that quiet moment, surrounded by nature, I felt the weight of the world lift, if only for a short while. But even as I surrendered to the connection we shared, a part of me couldn't shake the lingering doubts about what awaited us back in our reality. The battle between desire and doubt raged on, but in that moment, it was all about us. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden rays across the blanket, I felt as if we were suspended in a perfect bubble, untouched by the chaos of our lives. My hands roamed Evelyn's body with a hunger that felt both familiar and electric. Each caress ignited a spark, awakening the parts of me that had been dormant for too long. Evelyn's laughter turned to soft sighs as I explored the contours of her body, tracing the delicate lines of her collarbone and the gentle curves of her waist. She wrapped her legs around me, pulling me closer, as if the heat between us could banish the doubts that lingered in the back of my mind. "God, I've missed this," I murmured against her skin, feeling the warmth of her body beneath my touch. "Me too," she breathed, her voice a mix of longing and relief. "It feels so good to just be us." The world faded away, and it was just the two of us, entwined in this intimate dance. I kissed my way down her neck, feeling her pulse quicken beneath my lips, the taste of her skin intoxicating. Each kiss was a promise, a declaration that I was still here, still hers, despite the shadows that threatened to cloud our relationship. "Peter," she whispered, her breath hitching as my lips found the delicate curve of her shoulder. "What if someone sees us?" I paused, looking into her eyes, which sparkled with mischief and desire. "Let them see," I replied, my voice low and rough. "I want to feel you, to let the world fade away until it's just us." Her eyes darkened with lust, and with a playful smirk, she leaned back against the blanket, exposing more of her body to me. "Then don't hold back." With a rush of desire, I captured her mouth again, deepening the kiss as my hands explored the soft fabric of her dress, inching it higher, revealing more of her creamy skin. She shivered under my touch, her body arching towards me, encouraging me to take more, to claim what was rightfully mine. The air around us was thick with anticipation, and every brush of our skin sent jolts of electricity racing between us. I couldn't remember the last time I had felt so alive, so consumed by another person. It was as if the world had melted away, leaving only the two of us and the heat of our connection. Evelyn's hands slid under my shirt, her fingers tracing the lines of my muscles, igniting a fire deep within me. I groaned, pulling her closer, feeling her warmth radiate against me. "You're driving me crazy," I said, my voice thick with need. "Good," she replied, a sultry smile gracing her lips. "I want you to lose control." With that, I gave in to the primal urge, losing myself in the rhythm of our bodies. I kissed down her neck, savoring every inch of her, relishing the sounds she made as I trailed kisses along her collarbone and further down, pausing just above the swell of her breasts. The world outside faded to a distant hum, and all that existed was the heat between us. "Please, Peter," she breathed, urging me on, her body moving instinctively against mine. I took my time, savoring each moment, each gasp and sigh that escaped her lips. It felt like we were rediscovering each other in a way that went beyond the physical, like we were reconnecting all the lost pieces of our hearts. I captured her gaze, my fingers brushing along her thigh as I nudged her dress further up, exposing more skin to the soft afternoon light. The thrill of her trust filled me with a potent mix of desire and responsibility. I wanted to show her just how much she meant to me, how every moment apart had only made my love for her grow stronger. "Evelyn," I whispered, my lips brushing against hers, "you're everything to me." Her response was a soft moan, a sound that reverberated in my chest and sent a rush of heat through my veins. The moment was charged with an intensity that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. As our bodies moved together, every touch, every kiss, became a testament to our love, a love that had weathered storms but now seemed to burn brighter than ever. The boundary between us began to blur as we surrendered to the moment, losing ourselves in a world where nothing else mattered. But even as we embraced the heat of our passion, a shadow lurked in the back of my mind, a reminder that the real world awaited us. Would this be enough to bridge the gap that had formed? Could we truly reconnect, or was this just a fleeting escape from the inevitable reality that loomed over us? For now, I pushed those thoughts aside, allowing myself to drown in the feeling of her body beneath mine, the warmth and intimacy of our shared experience. In this moment, with the sun setting and the world fading into the background, nothing else existed but the love we shared and the desire that consumed us. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the secluded clearing, I felt an overwhelming sense of freedom and connection with Evelyn. The sounds of the forest faded, and all that mattered was the heat radiating from our bodies and the intoxicating pull of our desire. Evelyn arched her back, urging me on, her breath hitching as my lips continued their journey down her body. I kissed along her collarbone, my tongue teasing the soft skin just above the neckline of her dress. Each sigh she released was like music to my ears, urging me to explore further, to lose myself in her completely. "Peter," she breathed, her voice a mix of longing and urgency. "I want you to touch me." The invitation hung in the air, electric and tempting. I hesitated for just a moment, drinking in the sight of her, hair tousled, cheeks flushed, eyes sparkling with desire. It was a vision I wanted to remember forever. But the need to feel her beneath my hands overwhelmed my hesitation. With a deliberate slowness, I slipped my fingers beneath the hem of her dress, feeling the warmth of her thighs against my palms. Evelyn's body responded instantly, her legs parting slightly to welcome my touch. I brushed my fingers against her skin, tracing the delicate lines of her curves, feeling the soft flesh beneath my fingertips. "God, you're so beautiful," I murmured, my voice thick with desire. She smiled, her eyes glowing as she looked up at me. "And you make me feel alive!" As I explored her body, I could feel the tension building between us, a delicious mix of anticipation and passion. I leaned down, capturing her lips in a heated kiss that sent shivers racing through both of us. It was as if the world had narrowed to just this moment, a cocoon of desire wrapping around us, blocking out all thoughts of what awaited us back in reality. Evelyn's hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer as our kisses deepened. I felt her heart racing beneath my fingertips, matching the frantic beat of my own. Every brush of her skin ignited flames within me, and I wanted nothing more than to worship her, to take my time and savor every moment. But the urgency of our connection was undeniable. I wanted to feel her against me, to lose myself in the rhythm of our bodies. I shifted my weight, positioning myself between her legs, feeling the heat radiating from her core. "Evelyn," I breathed, my voice low and husky. "Are you sure?" Her response was a soft, breathy moan, filled with longing. "Yes, Peter. I want this. I want you." With those words, something inside me snapped, and I gave in to the desire that had been building between us. I leaned down, kissing my way along her jawline and down her neck, feeling her pulse quicken beneath my lips. She gasped softly, her body arching towards me as I trailed kisses across her collarbone, relishing the taste of her skin. "Tell me what you want," I murmured, my lips brushing against her ear. "I want you to make me feel good," she replied, her voice thick with desire. "I want to feel every part of you." Those words ignited a fire within me, and I moved lower, my hands exploring the soft curves of her body. I could feel her warmth against my skin, the way her body responded to my touch. Each gasp and sigh pushed me deeper into the moment, a primal need taking over as I lost myself in her. As I continued my exploration, I felt the fabric of her dress slipping away, leaving her vulnerable and exposed before me. I kissed along her thighs, savoring the way she shivered under my touch. Her hands found their way to my hair, gripping tightly as if to anchor herself in the whirlwind of sensations I was creating. "Please, Peter," she gasped, her voice thick with longing. "Don't stop." With every kiss, I could feel her body responding to my touch, her hips rocking gently as she sought more. I reveled in the power I held over her, the way I could make her feel with just a simple caress. I kissed higher, trailing my lips up her stomach, feeling her breath hitch as I reached the delicate lace of her brow. With a practiced flick of my fingers, I unclasped it, letting the fabric fall away. The sight of her, exposed and beautiful, sent a surge of desire through me. I could see the desire glimmering in her eyes, the way she bit her lip as she watched me. "Evelyn," I breathed, lost in the moment. "You're stunning." She smiled, her cheeks flushed, and in that instant I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. The shadows of doubt faded, replaced by the bright intensity of our connection. As I leaned in to kiss her again, I felt the weight of the world lift, leaving only the heat of our desire and the warmth of our love. We melted into each other, our bodies moving in perfect harmony, lost in the rhythm of passion. The moment stretched, an eternity where nothing else mattered, where we were free to explore the depths of our desire. Each kiss, each touch, became a promise that no matter what awaited us beyond this moment, we would find our way back to each other. In that secluded corner of the world, beneath the canopy of trees, we found our refuge, a sanctuary of love and desire that whispered of new beginnings and the hope of a rekindled flame. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky transformed into a canvas of deep oranges and purples, casting a serene glow over our secluded spot. I lay beside Evelyn, our bodies intertwined, the remnants of our passions still humming between us. The world felt perfect, as if time had paused just for us, allowing us to savor every moment of this rekindled connection. Evelyn turned to me, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset, and I was struck by how beautiful she looked in that moment. Her hair was tousled, and the flush of our encounter still lingered on her cheeks. It was a reminder of everything we had just shared, a testament to the love that still burned brightly between us. "I can't believe we waited so long to do this," she said softly, her fingers playing with my hair. "Neither can I," I replied, feeling a rush of emotion. "I've missed you, us. I forgot how good it feels to be close to you." She smiled, a hint of vulnerability in her gaze. "I was scared we were losing what we had. But today," her voice trailed off, and I could see the weight of our past hovering just beneath the surface. "Let's not think about that now," I said, reaching out to tuck a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Let's just enjoy this moment." We lay back against the blanket, the sounds of nature surrounding us, the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds settling in for the night. It was peaceful, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had marked our recent months. "I want to make this work, Peter," she said suddenly, her voice earnest. "I want us to find our way back to each other, to be the couple we used to be." "I want that too," I admitted, feeling a surge of hope. "But we have to be honest with each other, about everything. No more hiding, no more doubts." Evelyn nodded, her expression serious but resolute. "I promise. I'll tell you everything. And I want you to do the same." With a newfound determination, we made a silent vow to confront the challenges that lay ahead. But for now, in this moment, we simply reveled in each other's presence. I pulled her closer, feeling her warmth seep into me, the two of us cocooned in our own little world. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, I leaned down, capturing her lips in a soft, lingering kiss. It was a kiss filled with promise, a seal on our newfound commitment to each other. I could feel her smile against my mouth, a warmth that spread through me, igniting the flame of hope that had flickered during our darkest days. "I love you, Evelyn," I murmured, pulling back to gaze into her eyes. "I love you too, Peter," she replied, her voice steady and full of emotion. "More than I can say." And in that moment, as the sky darkened and the stars shone brighter, I realized that love, no matter how strained or tested, could be rekindled. The road ahead would not be easy, but together, we could navigate the challenges and rediscover the joy we once shared. As we lay there, wrapped in each other's arms, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The doubts that had plagued me faded into the background, replaced by the certainty that we were willing to fight for our love. Together, we could build a future that honored our past while embracing the possibilities ahead. In the heart of the woods, with the world falling away, we found not just passion but a deeper understanding of what it meant to truly love and be loved. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, I felt ready to take that next step with Evelyn by my side. And as the last light of day faded into night, I knew that this was just the beginning. Together, we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, hand in hand, heart to heart, igniting a love that could weather any storm.